Only 11 days to go to the local government elections. What's the role of small parties going to be? Are they just there to form coalitions, or will they make a real difference? To talk to me about this and more, I'm joined by ATM Spokesperson Sbu Mncwabe, as well as BLF leader Andile Mngxitama, Deputy Leader of the ACDP, Thring, and Margaret Arnolds, the Acting Treasurer General of the African Independent Congress. Take your views tonight on that messaging, particularly about the Democratic Alliance, on what small parties will do. So they'll completely disappear. You won't ever hear and see them, except, of course, if they do win a seat or two in council. And that would mean that the dominance of the dominant party, be it the ANC at the time, will continue. 072-110-5584. You can tweet us at Newzroom405 if you want to weigh in on that. Good evening to you all, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. And let's start with that statement. How small parties are going to shift the way in which the country is governed, or will they disappear once these local government elections are done and probably occupy a seat or two? Wayne?
Well, Thabo, I think that this is very disingenuous of the DA. I think it also speaks of desperation. The Democratic Alliance is actually falling apart. They are crumbling from the inside, and this is an attempt to garner as much votes as they possibly can. For a party that espouses to be a constitutionally based party, the DA moves away from the Constitution in this particular sense by making statements like that. South Africa is, in terms of our political makeup, we are a multi-party state, a party that is made up of, or rather a state that is made up of a political system that is made up of many political parties. Sadly, the DA, after the elections, come running to the ACDP in particular for support, in terms of giving support for them to run the local municipalities. But also, let me say that the ACDP is not one of those parties that disappears. The ACDP is one of the fastest growing parties, having grown by some 40% in 2019. So one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing party in the country. Yep. The ACDP is also one of the few political parties that has been in positions of governance from 1994. So the ACDP is a seasoned political party with 27 years of experience in all 9 provinces. And we've got councillors and representation in all 9 provinces, and not one of those political parties that the DA member there actually said will disappear. So it's very disingenuous, and I actually think that desperation for the DA because of their internal struggles that they are facing.
The African Christian Democratic Party, of course, is one of South Africa's parties founded in the 90s, led by Reverend Kenneth Mishwe. Following the 2016 municipal election, the ACDP joined with the much larger Democratic Alliance and several other small parties to form a coalition government in the Nelson Mandela Bay, as well as Johannesburg and Tshwane metros. In 2019, ACDP has 4 members in South Africa's parliament and 1 member each in the provincial legislature of the Western Cape. The party has 22 municipal councillors across the country. However, when if you look at your performance, electoral performance, particularly at local level, according to the IEC's numbers, it's been on a decline from 1.14% in 2006, 1.2, 2011, 0.6, 2016, 0.4%.
Yeah, but then also look, and I do believe that, and it's true that the ACDP has been in a little bit of a political wilderness from about, well, actually up to just pre-2019, where we actually saw a decline, and that is to a large extent because of the floor crossing legislation. And our voters basically said that if parties like the ANC and other political parties that members cross the floor to, and it hurt us. But I think that come 2019, those of us fought and kept the ship steady have now reaped the benefits of that. And the party in 2019 grew by 40%. We are one of the largest political parties, 6th largest political party in the country. We're contesting 145 municipalities, 67% of wards will be covered by the ACDP in all 9 provinces and all 8 metros. So certainly we cannot be classified as one of those parties that come and go. With the track record, the proven track record that the ACDP has, and I think these elections will surprise many of the critics and the skeptics, as they will see the ACDP astounding those who are actually critical of the party.
Leader of Blackfest Land First, Andile Mngxitama, please unmute yourself so we can get you into the conversation here. The raft of small parties contesting these local government elections, to a large extent, except of course with the exception of the IFP, many have an unproven track record in governance. In other words, they don't have actual experience in governance, the BLF being one of them. How will a party like yours shift the way in which the country is governed?
Yes, thanks. The first thing is to recognize that parties with track record have disappointed our people. We need new ideas, new leadership, new innovations, and this is what Blackfest Land First is bringing to the table. We think that the whole management and the rule of local government up to now has suffered from lack of imagination by the leadership. And that is why you find corruption. There's endemic incompetency that has affected our populations very negatively. Blackfest Land First has a 15-point program to fix the local municipality. Will deal with issues of unemployment, for instance, by simply doing a very simple thing. We have developmental deficit. On the other hand, we have unemployment. Bring the two together. Let us rely on the collective genius of our people to answer these problems. People are unemployed. On the other hand, there's need to develop. There's need to build schools, roads, accommodation, and so on. We believe that a government, local government with a little bit of imagination can actually address these issues. So there's no question of lack of experience. The experiences that we've had up to now are very bad. We have to change that situation by bringing new innovation and by making sure that we bring governments, local governments that listen to the people.
So some may argue, for example, in analysis that political parties like BLF, for example, have a few distinct features and policy similarities with other parties. Of course, they might emphasize one or two different aspects based on their manifestos, but really if you drill down to the core of them, they'll probably be similar to the ANC, the PAC, the UDM, and maybe even the EFF.
No, that's not true. We are a Black consciousness, Pan-Africanist organization. Of course, that means that we would have taken some of the Black nationalist ideology from Steve Biko, from Robert Sobukwe. However, we bring a 21st century innovation into the political system. And that is why we are saying, vote for Blackfest Land First, to see a government that responds to the issues of the people innovatively. For instance, in Johannesburg, you know the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is here. And there is no relationship between local government and the stock exchange, where the wealth of the nation is locked in, to basically have an understanding with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange to contribute to employment of our people. There is none of that. The university system in Johannesburg, again, is quite elaborate, but there's no relationship between the local government and the university to answer these problems that our people are facing. We as Blackfest Land First, who are bringing a big innovation which puts Black people first. And we believe a city such as Johannesburg is dead as it is. It is dirty, it is backward, it is in decay, it is run by corruption. And we believe we can bring new life into the city. We believe that, for instance, we'll focus on arts and culture, bring sports to the school system, bring a new vibrancy and life into the city. It can be done, but right now, the ANC and its partners are ruling through top-down mechanisms, such as destroying homes of people. You know, our people in Lenasia North, they are building their own houses there. The government, the local government, the city of Joburg, its response is to destroy the homes. It is not to regularize and to support people's initiatives. This will change. We will, as Blackfest Landfest, harness the creative energies of our people to bring life into this situation.
All right, Andile Mngxitama, leader of BLF there. When we come back, Margaret, I want you to weigh in on this conversation as well as Sbu Mncwabe. Let's hear your views also tonight. 072-110-5584. To this statement, right, voting for small parties or even a multi-party system promotes a corruption amongst members, right? An inability, for example, of the ruling party to win on a budget vote, right, will cause the majority to give bribes so that the other parties will vote along with it, and that's where corruption is then born. What do you think of that? What are your thoughts on that? And we'll put that to the panel in a moment. Stay in conversation tonight with the small parties, Sbu Mncwabe with ATM, Andile Mngxitama, BLF, Wayne Thring, the ACDP, and Margaret Arnolds with the AIC. Now, the AIC, one of the parties formed in 2005 in Matatiele. The AIC won 10 seats in the Matatiele municipality in 2006 local government election, 7 seats in 2011, 1 seat in the Eastern Cape provincial legislature in 2009, and in 2014 general elections, winning 3 seats to the National Assembly. It retained its 1 seat in the Eastern Cape provincial legislature. The support declined in 2016 municipal elections, winning a total of 55 seats across all provinces, and of course they still remain in the Johannesburg Metro and as well as Ekurhuleni and Nelson Mandela Bay Metro at this particular point. Margaret, please unmute. Let's get into the conversation as well with yourself. Parties like the AIC, they really are existing on the mercy of the large parties, that your existence really depends on the large party, and therefore a vote for you would certainly not bring about a better standard of living. How do you respond to that?
Good evening to you, good evening to the listeners, the viewers, and to the fellow panelists. I think that the DA has run out of ideas for campaigning, because as we are here, the 4 of us that are here right now, we have different manifestos, we have different ideologies, and there's definitely people that can relate to us. So I don't think we are just existing because someone woke up one morning and decided to want to form a political party just for fun. But we have all done our research and we all know why we are existing. The African Independent Congress, and as our middle name says, we are definitely independent. We are a political party that's close to the people. As you've seen, we have not done that well on a national and a provincial level, but we did grow from 2014 to 2016. We've definitely grown and has become from a regional party that was rooted in Matatiele and in the Eastern Cape. We actually made inroads in all the provinces except in Limpopo. So is the DA then saying that we are irrelevant? We are not irrelevant. There are people out there yearning for the AIC to come to wherever they are. We are this year contesting in all the provinces, and we do believe that we are going to get votes because we see on our campaign trail that people are saying, where have you been? Want to be part of you. And I think as the two previous speakers have said, that we are in a multi-party democracy, and there's a need for all of us. So I really think that the DA has run out of ideas. We all are relevant where we are. The AIC is not in a hurry to grow and be in government, but we are in a hurry to keep the governing party wherever they are, whether it's the ANC, whether it's the DA, whether it's any of the bigger parties, but we want to keep them accountable and ensure that services are delivered to our people.
Where have you demonstrated that strength to hold the big parties accountable?
We've demonstrated it in Nelson Mandela. We've demonstrated it in Rustenburg. We've demonstrated that in Ekurhuleni, as well as in the city of Johannesburg. We've done that with the DA, in the city of Johannesburg. We've done that with the ANC in the city of Johannesburg, even though we are co-governing with the ANC in the city of Johannesburg.
Yeah, just expand on that. I mean, for example, in Nelson Mandela Bay, your candidate became the executive or acting executive mayor briefly, but then that was largely due to the instability there that was in existence in that metro. It's not necessarily based on the strength of the party to hold those top three big parties accountable.
Yeah, but you know, you've just said it yourself. We were there, we were acting as the mayor because of the instability, and who brought stability? The AIC brought the stability. The leadership of the AIC brought stability. Uye is the AIC, and he's brought stability to the Nelson Mandela Bay.
Yeah, but you only acted briefly, though. I mean, if that stability was that strong, you would have been kept there, would you not?
Well, remember, politics is a number of it's a game of numbers, and probably if we had more councillors, we could have kept that stability. But the fact that a one-man party there to bring the stability, that says to you they had confidence in the AIC.
All right, let's bring in the ATM then. Sbu, good to have you with us tonight. Thank you very much for your time. How are you as ATM giving people a better standard of living since coming into the scene a couple of years ago? I mean, you're fairly new in terms of being in this space of politics.
Well, thank you, Putabo. Good evening to you, the listeners, and my colleagues there. But just before I respond to your question, let me attend to this unwise statement of the DA. I'm not sure whether they understand their existence, because if they call themselves Democratic Alliance, everyone assumes that they know the meaning of the word democracy. In a democratic country, democratic society, people are free to choose any party of their choice, whether small or big, that doesn't count. So it's a very unwise statement from the leader of an official opposition. They should have said that thing. It embarrasses them, and it says they don't understand the meaning of their own organization. But let me come to your question. I do not believe that at this age, the ATM can fall under the category of small parties. Yes, we entered the National Assembly in 2014, in 2019, where we got 2 seats, and one in the Eastern Cape, one in KwaZulu-Natal. But since then, we never vanished. We've been tackling critical issues of governance of this country. Currently, we are the only party that has sponsored a motion in Parliament to remove President Ramaphosa for his poor performance in running SOEs and the country, issues of 500 billion and other matters. So you cannot only say ATM is a small party. You have to look at what we've been pushing, what we've been giving out to our people. And when it's come to what we are putting in the table, local government is where the people feel they are the part of governance. That is where people feel that they are indeed governance. So it's important to clean out that level of governance. We are offering a corrupt-free local government. That's one of our priorities. You know, whenever the Auditor General is giving his or her audits outputs, you will always note the billions of rand wasted by municipalities, whether on fruitless expenditure, unauthorized expenditure, or corruption. And in terms of administration, you've got people who are incompetent there, who are only there to serve their deployment from parties. So it's one of the things that will eradicate.
Yeah.
But number two is to make sure that we eradicate shacks in urban areas.
Yeah.
You do that by developing the rural areas.
All right, Sbu, I think we have a challenge there with that connection. Hopefully we can get Sbu back on the line, because I wanted to put to him that very same question around the motion of no confidence and the success of the motion of no confidence. Sbu, I hope you are there with us. That when you look at, for example, that very same question of the motion of no confidence, which was not successful, and of course you took the battle to court to try and get the secret ballot and so on and so forth. But that in itself indicates that when facing a dominant party, you have lesser prospects of defeating the dominant party, even in a question of a motion of no confidence.
Yes, I know that mentality can only come from leaders who are not sure of what they are doing, who are not sure of what their mandate is. When our people, our members, gives us the mandate, it doesn't mean because of the majority of others and the minority of our position, we cannot speak for our position. We cannot speak for our members. We will push for our position regardless of the situation that we are facing. That is a bold kind of leadership. Because the other thing, Putabo, that is lacking in this country is the leadership with a backbone. Leadership that is not captured anywhere, whether Stellenbosch or London or England or America. So that kind of mentality to say, we are pushing this argument, this is what as a party we believed in, this is what our members are saying. That position is what we must push regardless of what is facing before us. So we were not scared of issues of numbers when we were pushing for that motion. Now it's in the appeal, we are still going ahead because we do not have confidence in the governance of this country as it is happening now. No one can tell where is 500 billion, and we are owing IMF and World Bank. Where is that money? No one knows. We are only getting that 350 to our people. That doesn't really take them anywhere. You've got 500 billion to give people 350. How many factories you could have created? How many cooperatives of our people in rural areas you would have funded? How many small businesses that would have employed people you have funded? If we have a visionary leadership that is not corrupt, that is not introducing things that will benefit those who funded them in their conferences. So as ATM, that's a kind of the positions we are putting, regardless of numbers that we have. The important thing is to speak for the voiceless and make sure that the poorest of the poor are getting services wherever they are.
How small parties aim to shift the way in which the country is governed. What difference are small parties making in our multi-party system? Let's hear your views tonight, having listened to the parties and what they think of the role that they play. 072-110-5584. Otherwise, you can tweet us tonight at Newzroom 405. Sbu Mncwabe, Andile Mngxitama, Thring, as well as Margaret Arnolds. They stay on with us. We're back in a moment. Just 11 days to go to the local government elections. We're in conversation tonight with ACDP, the ATM, BLF as well as AIC, and getting their views on the role that these small parties play in our multi-party system. Now, Wayne, before the previous break, I said when you look at scholars and some of the articles that write about a multi-party system, right? One, they say, for example, it is a waste of government resources, right? The material resources which would have been directed towards urgent tasks and national development are wasted on unprofitable political rivalry. So got to spread the piece of the cake amongst all these political parties, 325 of them or so that are contesting. But also it leads to a political crisis and disputes, for example, in council, that continue on, and nothing ever gets done. And as I mentioned, it promotes corruption in a sense, because to get the budget passed, there's some wheeling and dealing that happens in some back doors, and we never quite know what the deals are that eventually lead to a particular party voting with the majority to give them that allowance to be able to pass a budget. Just respond to those three and tell me how do you counter that?
Can I go there, Thabo?
Yes.
Yeah, I think very clearly those political analysts also do not understand the depth of the ACDP constitution. There are those who will try to advocate for a two-party state. The South Africa is not a two-party state. South Africa is a multi-party democracy. So I think that's the first thing. I think secondly, you must also understand that if a person is corrupt, they will look at blaming anything to give credence to their corruption, including the fact that they had to now so-called make deals with other political parties. Corruption is in South Africa, and particularly amongst the ruling party, endemic. In fact, the levels of corruption are more pandemic than endemic. And that needs to be stemmed out. And the ACDP has positioned itself, and certainly has that particular track record of fighting against corruption, speaking against corruption. And in this particular case, what you need are leaders who are principled, leaders who have an ethical outlook, leaders who are incorruptible. And sadly, the ruling party lacks these particular leaders because of cadre deployment. And as the Auditor General has also indicated, the challenge, former Auditor General Kimi Makwetu has indicated that the challenge of local government and municipalities in particular is that we have the wrong hands at the till. The current Auditor General, Maluleke, has also indicated that you have the hands in the cookie jar. Well, as the ACDP, it's saying, we are saying that it's time to change those particular hands. It's time to put into those particular positions of particularly local government, where the Auditor General has indicated that of some of the 258 municipalities that we have, more than 50% are no longer going concerns. In other words, they are on the verge of bankruptcy. Some 28 municipalities, only 28 municipalities received clean audits. And so that's the state of our municipalities in South Africa.
Yeah.
And so certainly it is time for clean hands, and the ACDP is one of those particular parties, the political party, that can be trusted with our proven track record. Our members in Nelson Mandela Bay, for example, have been able to turn things around in the Nelson Mandela Bay, winning accolades and awards in the multi-party cooperative governance system that we had. Our member of parliament there, member of the MMC, Lance Grootboom, he's won accolades and awards for turning filthy grounds into green playing fields for our children. Yeah. Our member in our former MMC in the city of Tshwane has saved the municipality there some 2 billion rand, where the procurement deals that were possibly corrupt saved the municipality some 2 billion. Our MMC former MMC in Johannesburg was able to produce some 1,000 title deeds in 1 month, where his predecessors produced and gave out some 100 in 10 years. So when the ACDP comes into, we have a proven track record. When we come into government, we deliver.
Andile, the pursuit of power for the sake of power itself is what many are saying. For example, Andile Mngxitama had a fallout with his previous party. He now started his own party because he's pursuing power for the sake of pursuing power, really. Wants to use public power to private ends.
Well, people are entitled to their views. I have been an activist for land long before I joined the party that I was part of, and I left because they have left the agenda for land redistribution. They were talking about unused land and so on. So that is the view of people that I have. We believe we're bringing a new agenda which puts black people first. In a black majority country where black people are at the bottom, This is the fundamental question that must be addressed. And all these parties basically are dilly-dallying on this question. South Africa is a black majority country. However, black people sit at the bottom. And since 1994, with the democratic process, there's been new apartheid, which perpetuates the exclusion of black people. So we come in and simply state the fact that this country belongs to black people, and black people have to be put first. And this is the agenda that we are pushing. So any criticism from our erstwhile fellow travelers is just that. We have a clear agenda we're putting forward in these elections, and it is about serving our people. The local municipality is degenerated space. It is corrupt-driven. There is no imagination. There's lack of services for our people, quality services. And we believe that with black consciousness, which puts the love of black people first, Black First Land First will be able to make a serious contribution in turning around the situation of our people. We are clear we must deal with issues of unemployment. We are clear we must deal with issues of landlessness. We must also remove the brutality of these local municipalities when they deal with our people. They don't listen. They bring rubber bullets in a situation that needs a sympathetic ear. We are saying, for instance, the process of developing the independent integrated development plans, they need to be driven by participatory democracy. It must not be complicated to know how much money is allocated for my ward, for what priorities, and those priorities must come from us, the people of that ward. And in 3 pages, we must say these are the priorities, these are the allocations, and this must be made public so that we can be able to hold accountable these people that we are sending to these councils. I mean, that is how democracy should work, from bottom up. And this is what we Black First Land First are going to bring into the political system.
How mature are your structures? So a party like, for example, ACDP can tell you, with the benefit of being in politics, particularly of the country, and in parliament since, for example, the 90s, their structures are now well established. An organization that is still fairly new, like BLF, you are still pretty much dealing with your own internal putting together of the party.
No, absolutely. We are young in terms of the time that we have been around, but our ideas are tested in the sense that they come from serious minds. Steve Biko, Robert Sobukwe, these are distilled minds, and we are operationalizing their ideas to make sure that they address the issues that they had identified. So these parties which have track record, what is this track record? It's track record of this service to our people. We want to serve our people. We want to change the lives of black people in this country. It is shocking that when you go to the townships and squatter camps, you find our people are so destitute. Our youth, for instance, are discarded from any possible future in a country with the resources that we have. As Black First Land First, we're going to make sure that our people are put first and the resources of our country are redistributed to our people and deal with issues of service delivery. This is not rocket science. It should not be so difficult to serve our people. I mean, what is the problem with providing electricity, water, proper roads, functioning hospitals, schools? I mean, these things are really simple. These things just need commitment, and they need visionary leadership.
All right. Margaret, let's talk then about the view that, for example, having all 4 of you here would make for a stronger opposition party than having the four of you divided. Scholars advocating for a stronger opposition party that can compete convincingly in elections to keep the big ruling parties accountable.
I think that's going to be fairly difficult, Tambo, because I understand that we come from...
Okay, Wayne, I'm going to give you a chance to weigh in on that, but I wanted Margaret to... Yeah, I wanted Margaret to come in first. All right? Margaret, go for it.
Thank you, Tambo. Wayne, you seem to be very excited.
My apologies. I thought he had opened it up to anybody.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Tambo, I think that... yes, the four of us are here. Yes, we are called smaller parties, but I think we all have different views of how we need to run, or different ideologies as to how we want to run government and what we want to do. There are things that BLF is saying which does gel with the AIC, but not everything. I mean, the ACDP, I've worked with the ACDP in the city of Johannesburg. And yes, we can make a good force when we get together. But you also realize that politics is something that, or it has happened, that people want to get together as political parties. And I think all of them will agree with me. The only problem that at times happens, and it might seem like something to laugh at, but everybody, the ACDP would say, we are going to lead this party. The AIC will say, no, but we can lead it. The BLF will say, we can lead it. And so will ATM as well. So I think the issue of us being in a multi-party democracy, it's quite good. And we all grow at our own pace. And we all do things in our own way. I mean, we are not going to say we are going to be there for the land, but if we are asked by the BLF or asked by anybody, if there's an issue that they want us to support them, we would support them. If the ACDP has the issue of bringing back biblical lessons into school, yes, we will agree with them. But in totality, we will not agree with everything that they say. So you can't ask us to say, why don't we all get together and we all become one big happy family? Then there is no democracy in it. We are in a democracy, and someone said earlier on, we're not a two-party state, we are multi-party democracy, and that is good and that is healthy for us.
Margaret, much appreciated. Stay on, Wayne Thring. I'll give you a chance. I know you wanted to take a bite at that. So when we come back from the break, I'll let you come in as well. Sbu Mncwabe, still with us, and Andile Mngxitama. And we're taking your WhatsApp messages tonight, 072-110-5584. In Focus continues in a moment. Welcome back. You're live tonight on In Focus. The role of small political parties in the lead-up to these local government elections is what we're interrogating tonight. Sbu Mncwabe of ATM, Andile Mngxitama of BLF, Wayne Thring with the ACDP, and Margaret Arnolds. She's with the AIC. Before the break, Wayne, you wanted to weigh in on that question. You're saying it's legally going to be impossible to do, or is it because you're too sectorial? Sectarian, or shall I say, as political parties, that it becomes very difficult for yourself imagining linking up with BLF and AIC or even ATM?
Well, look, I think, Thabo, very clearly, political parties have their own particular worldview. You know, we as the ACDP hold to a biblical worldview. There are those who have a secular worldview, others a liberal worldview, some are socialist, others are communists, some social communists, and a little bit of capitalism thrown in somewhere. And so it becomes very difficult, I think, for political parties to be able to find each other because of the differences within their worldviews. So, you know, it's rather simplistic to say that why don't you just all come together and just get along? And unfortunately, that's not how it is. I think, for example, the ACDP has a very clear particular policies. We have very clear guidelines, constitutional guidelines in terms of the ACDP, which differs diametrically to other political parties, which will make it, for some political parties, almost impossible for us to get along. Yeah. I like what the BLF, for example, has been saying in terms of we've got to put our people first. The ACDP, this is what the ACDP is saying. However, we differ with method in terms of we do that. The ACDP's position is a non-racist position, is saying that black, white, colored, Indian, whoever you are. And so we believe also that when it comes to service, people don't care as long as service delivery is capable individuals, and service delivery is of an excellent standard, not something that is fixed today and broken tomorrow. So I think so that's just one particular example. And obviously with the other political parties, we also have differences. The ACDP has its manifesto and its policies in terms of how to change local government, in terms of local economic development, in terms of service delivery, in terms of changing municipal managers, some of them who are earning as much as the president of the country. And the ACDP has been saying on those particular instances that there ought to be a cap, for example. We have our regards to fixing the within our
Oh, Wayne, we're having real challenges with that connection. Okay, we'll try and get you back and have you finish that thought in just a moment. But Sbu, let me bring you in here. Do you imagine yourself winning a municipality, or are you participating, of course, with the hope that you might get a seat in and be able to use that seat? Or are you actually gunning to win a municipality? And which municipality would that be?
Well, Mutabo, ATM is going to once again shock the nation after the 1st of November. We'll definitely win some of the municipalities. We are looking at some municipalities in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. But we're also doing very well in terms of mobilization and membership in Mpumalanga, Northwest and Limpopo. So we are quite confident that we'll really shock the nation. But even if we do not win any municipality outright, we'll be the kingmakers in a number of municipalities in this country. And even if we enter in any coalition agreement, it will be in our own terms, because there are things we cannot compromise as the party, things that are the anchors, are the core pillars of the party. So we are going to the elections with that confidence. We are not scared, we are not afraid. We are sure that what we have put out to our people as our manifesto makes sense, and it has been accepted by the people.
Yeah.
When you come to the issue of working together with other parties, you will recall that since from the last local government elections, coalition government has become the popular governance style. It's difficult now for the so-called big parties to win municipalities outright. You've seen that in Tshwane, in Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, and other places, and a number of local municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal. That means the parties will have to come together and share the vision on how the municipality will work. So we are open for that as a party, but as I've said, we'll put our demands, we'll never compromise our positions, we'll never compromise our beliefs. But for now, what is in our mind is to go out there and win municipalities and change the status quo. Yeah. You know, the status of municipalities in this country is really shocking. Poor service delivery, corruption, poor administration, and all those things, even in rural areas, especially in the issues as well of traditional leadership that we're going to address. You know, Butabo, there's unfair struggling for power between councillors and traditional leaders. Yeah. And as a party would believe that a traditional leader is the custodian of the land. He should not be contesting with a councillor.
In fact, that's the next question that I wanted to put to you. The question around election violence becoming a normal occurrence, particularly in this multi-party system of ours. How do we deal with that?
Well, it goes a long way. It starts right there in corruption. When I've got a friend who's got interest in tenders, and we've got Sbu Mncwabe coming in, opposing that within the party, definitely those things start there. Once you root out greediness in political leaders in this country, you will definitely eliminate issues of political violence, which we see these days already. We have lost some 3 or 4 candidates already because of the issues of positions. Why? Once you assume the position of power in the municipalities, you are able to influence these things. So that is, if we can eradicate corruption and greediness from us as politicians, that's the only thing to eliminate political violence and killings as far as the ATM is concerned, as a peaceful organization.
Wayne, hopefully your line is back now. I mean, the final question to you wanted to put was, is it not the very same reason why the support of the ACDP doesn't grow beyond what it is now? Because of your sectarian approach. You don't guarantee, for example, how you're going to include others, how you're going to be inclusive in your focus, should indeed you come into power and not just focus on the religious community. You can unmute, Wayne.
Yeah. So I think there's a misnomer that the ACDP is a party that is exclusive. I think, to the contrary, the ACDP has within its ranks not only those who hold to a biblical worldview or who are Christians, but we have Muslims, we have Jewish people, we have Hindus, we have people, and even atheists who have come to the ACDP and said, we support the ACDP because of the stance we support that you take. We support the ACDP because of your clean governance. We support the ACDP because we have watched you over the years. You have been consistent, and we believe that these are the types of leaders, and this is the type of political party that we need in South Africa to govern. And so I think that it is, unfortunately, a bit of a misnomer by saying that the ACDP is exclusive and sectarian. Certainly to the contrary, the hundreds of thousands, the 160-odd thousand people that voted for us are not just Christians, but come from a broad spectrum of the South African population. And they continue to come to us. And again, because even our biblical values, it cuts across all cultures, all race groups, all denominations, because a biblical worldview, the principles of honesty, transparency, accountability, those are the principles that hold dear, and that's what actually unites us.
Right, let's look at WhatsApp messages coming through then tonight from our viewers on 072-110-5584. We asked the question of their view on the role of political parties. Bienwane in Hluhlu is saying, voting for small parties is just a waste of time because they don't have the power to make decisions independently from the advancement of those who voted for them into power. And Khomotso Mudisele in Madibeng saying, big parties failed our people for almost 27 years of democracy, and only independent and small parties can redefine and bring life to service delivery in local government. All right, there's split view there also tonight on our WhatsApp line, and that is where we're going to have to leave it for tonight. Sbu, Andile, Margaret and Wayne, let me thank you very much for joining us tonight, and let me thank you as well for being a part of this conversation tonight here on In Focus.